Tonight at a rally in West Virginia, the president took on the Russia investigation with gusto.
Fake news and the Russian witch hunt. We got a whole big combination. Where is the collusion?
But he declined to address the two huge headlines that emerged today out of Robert Mueller's probe. His one-time personal attorney, Michael Cohen, and his former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, both becoming felons. The announcements breaking within the same hour.
There may never have been an hour like this in the history of the presidency, to have two former associates close to the president, both of them ending with the word guilty in a federal court.
It began shortly after 4 o'clock. Michael Cohen, the president's longtime personal lawyer and fixer, a man who once said he'd take a bullet for Donald Trump, walked out of a federal court after pleading guilty to illegally paying hush money to silence two women who claimed to have had sexual relationships with the president.
Michael, what's your message to the president?
Cohen told the judge today that he was working, quote, in coordination and at the direction of a candidate for federal office.
Mr. Cohen pled guilty to 2 campaign finance charges, one for causing an unlawful corporate contribution, and a second one for personally making an excessive personal contribution, both for the purpose of influencing the 2016 election.
Just 11 days before the election, he paid off the porn star Stormy Daniels, who claimed she had a one-night stand with Trump. The president initially said he knew nothing about it.
Did you know about the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels? Then why did Michael Cohen make it if there was no truth or allegation?
You have to ask Michael Cohen. Michael's my attorney, and you'll have to ask Michael.
But months later, a very different story from the president's new personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani.
It's not campaign money. No campaign finance violation. So
they funneled it through the law firm.
Funneled through the law firm, and the president repaid it.
Prosecutors say Cohen was reimbursed by the Trump Organization.
Mr. Cohen sought reimbursement for that money by submitting invoices to the candidate's company, which were untrue and false. It was simply a means to obtain reimbursement for the unlawful campaign contribution.
Cohen was also involved in the payoff to Karen McDougal, a former Playboy playmate who, on CNN, claimed she once had a year-long affair with Mr. Trump.
So did I see him quite a few times, quite a bit? Absolutely. We spent a lot of time together.
Just before the election, McDougal sold her story to the publisher of the National Enquirer. They bought it and buried it, a practice known as catch and kill. Trump denied knowing about that payment too, but Cohen secretly recorded a 2016 conversation where the two men seemed to discuss buying the rights to McDougal's story from the publisher of the Enquirer.
When it comes time for the financing, which will be...
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
I'll pay for it.
No. I got no.
Michael Cohen worked for Donald Trump for more than a decade.
I'll do anything to protect Mr. Trump. I'm obviously very loyal and very dedicated to Mr. Trump.
Back in April, when his home, office, and hotel were raided by the FBI, the president was outraged.
And it's a disgrace. It's frankly a real disgrace. It's an attack on our country in a true sense. It's an attack on what we all stand for.
Trump said he was confident Cohen would not turn on him, but the pressure on Cohen only grew. In June, it was clear he was looking to cut a deal, telling ABC News chief anchor George Stephanopoulos, quote, "My wife, my daughter, and my son have my first loyalty and always will. I put my family and country first."
The president's relationship with Michael Cohen may have once been close, but it got nasty. It devolved into a very ugly public fight. The president feels like he was stabbed in the back by someone who had been a loyal, close aide to him.
Today, just hours after Cohen stood up in court and implied that Donald Trump ordered him to make those hush money payments during the campaign, Rudy Giuliani issued a statement saying there is no allegation of any wrongdoing against the president in the government's charges against Mr. Cohen. It is clear that, as the prosecutor noted, Mr. Cohen's actions reflect a pattern of lies and dishonesty over a significant period of time. But Michael Cohen's attorney made clear that he thinks the president of the United States may now be in legal jeopardy himself, saying in a statement, quote, "If those payments were a crime for Michael Cohen, then why wouldn't they be a crime for Donald Trump?"
Today was very damning for the president. It doesn't mean the president necessarily committed a crime. He could have been doing it to save his marriage or prevent embarrassment or any number of reasons.
There is also tonight this looming question. Will Michael Cohen be cooperating with Robert Mueller in the Russia probe? Here's what his attorney said on MSNBC tonight.
But I can tell you that Mr. Cohen has knowledge on certain subjects that should be of interest to the special counsel and is more than happy to tell the special counsel all that he knows.
During a normal news cycle, if there is such a thing anymore, the Michael Cohen story would be blotting out the sun. Just minutes after Michael Cohen pled guilty in that courtroom in Manhattan, another bombshell.
In a day of bombshell developments in the legal situation facing President Trump.
Reporters racing out of a courthouse in Virginia to deliver the news. After 4 days of deliberations, the jury rendering a verdict in the case against Paul Manafort, who once ran Donald Trump's campaign for president. Guilty on 5 counts of tax evasion, 1 count of failing to report a foreign bank account, and 2 counts of bank fraud. The jury was unable to reach a verdict on 10 other counts, and the judge declared a mistrial on those 10 counts. Manafort stone-faced as the verdict was read, his lawyer later addressing reporters, saying Manafort got a fair trial.
Mr. Manafort is disappointed of not getting acquittals all the way through or a complete hung jury on all counts.
This trial, the first big test for the special counsel, Robert Mueller, and an extraordinary fall for Manafort, who just 2 years ago was running the Donald Trump campaign for president.
Paul Manafort has done an amazing job. He's here someplace.
But soon Manafort was pushed out amid a swirl of stories about his work for Ukrainian officials with ties to Moscow. Last summer, a dozen armed FBI agents raided his apartment, seizing a trove of documents. And last week, even as the jury deliberated, President Trump was still rooting for his former campaign chairman.
He happens to be a very good person.
Trump refused to rule out a pardon, and tonight the president sounded dismayed by the verdict.
It doesn't involve me, but I still feel, it's a very sad thing that happened. This is a witch hunt, and it's a disgrace.
Manafort faces a maximum of 80 years in prison. The judge won't likely give him all that time, but he's likely looking at a decade or more of incarceration.
And Manafort still has one more trial to go. In another case brought by Mueller, he's being charged with obstruction of justice, conspiracy, and foreign lobbying violations.
One of the big questions is, was this all an attempt to pressure Paul Manafort to give information on President Trump?
I think if he hasn't cooperated at this point, he's probably not going to. And that could mean one of two things. Either he doesn't care to cooperate, or he's got nothing to cooperate with.
We have no idea if Cohen is cooperating with the prosecutors in Manhattan or with the Mueller team. The plea agreement that we saw today doesn't include a cooperation agreement, but that doesn't mean he's not cooperating.
This suggests that we're closer to the beginning of the story than the end when it comes to President Trump. This air around Trump and the people closest to him, it looks like a culture of corruption.
Well, today was undeniably a tough day for the President of the United States. Tonight, to all those cheering supporters who came out to see him in West Virginia, to them, he is still a winner.
We stand on the shoulders of generations of American patriots who knew how to fight, and they knew how to win. We're winning again. We're winning again.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.